Judiciary Committee's sweeping demand for evidence marks a major escalation by Democrats investigating President Trump's administration, his business, and his family members. The Judiciary Committee will focus on 3 areas of interest: obstruction of justice, public corruption, abuse of power. Among the 80-plus targets are the president's oldest son, Donald Trump Jr. There he is, Trump Organization CFO Allen Weisselberg, and former White House counsel Don McGahn. I never thought he'd be in the list. And the expanded investigation is also significant because the Judiciary Committee obviously has control over impeachment. I'm joined now by Democratic Senator and 2020 presidential candidate Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. Senator, thank you for joining us. I want to ask you some big, broad questions to start with. Then we'll get to the question of health care. I know you're working on especially prescription drugs questions. Let me ask you about this approach of, I guess it's the approach of Jerry Nadler, the chairman of the House Judiciary, the impeachment committee potentially, and of course the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and others, that the smart move and the right move for Dems right now, the next year perhaps, look into real investigations and find out the facts. Don't be talking impeachment. Your thoughts?
They have an obligation. The American people in 2018 said that they wanted to see a check and balance on this White House, as well as an optimistic economic agenda. So what I see is 2 things happening. You have to allow the Mueller investigation to be completed. We want to see that report public. That has been a major focus of my work on the Judiciary Committee. We have a new Attorney General who has not 100% committed to making that report public. And then, of course, you're going to see investigations about some of these potential campaign finance issues. You have a foreign power that's been trying to not just meddle. I hate that word. That's what I use when I call my daughter on a Saturday night to ask her what she's doing, but invade our democracy. And so I think that you can have both things going on, but in the end, we also have to be a check on this administration when it comes to really worsening income inequality, to not doing anything about pharmaceutical prices, to not really moving an infrastructure package forward.
Well, I'm with you all that, but let me ask you a question about Deutsch. Congressman Deutsch was just on. He said basically you can't rely on Mueller's investigation because Mueller might feel constricted. He can't indict a president if he believes that's the truth and that's the standard. And you shouldn't be talking about people's guilt or innocence unless you're willing to indict them, that this whole problem with the president's involvement in all these affairs could fall between the cracks. If you can't indict him, you can't talk about him, therefore his report won't have any information about him. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, the Mueller investigation is so important because it's looking at the whole picture. You've had dozens of people that have been investigated, indicted, and we've learned more and more about what Russia has done, and what we hopefully will learn a lot more in that report. Secondly, as these investigations go forward in the House, yes, there's other things that will be looked into. But as you know, you've had other senators on your show, Chris. You know, we're the jury when it comes to those kinds of issues. So we're not going to opine on what the facts show at this moment. But I think you can do 2 things at once. We're Democrats. We can do that.
Well, meanwhile, the resolution to terminate President Trump's so-called national emergency has now enough Republicans in your body to support, actually to stop it from passing. Kentucky Republican Rand Paul said he'd vote in support of the resolution stopping the president, joining Maine's Susan Collins, North Carolina's Tom Tillis, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. Today, Senator Paul said there will likely be more defections from the president.
I do believe that there is at least 10 Republican no votes. We'll see, possibly more. My reason for speaking out now is that I think we all need to think this through before we get too far down the road.
If you can't override the president with your rejection of the declaration of a national emergency, what good is accomplished here? Senator.
Well, Chris, this is very significant, though, because you have a number of Republicans now saying what I believe, that this is unconstitutional. There was an agreement made in Congress, hard-fought agreement on how much money should go toward border security, not paying for this wall that he has been talking about for years and chanting about at rallies, but just smart security measures. Instead, he goes forward with something that is unconstitutional, is going to create all kind of eminent domain issues, takes money away from our military housing and puts it into something to meet a campaign promise. And so the fact that you have Republicans that are saying the same thing that we are saying is significant for our democracy. I think it's a good thing.
Let's talk about health care.
But you are right about overriding. Keep going.
Let's talk about healthcare. And I think you've shaped up a position which makes sense to a lot of people, not just moderates, but progressives, a lot of them, which is the idea, where are we right now? We got Obamacare that's got to be improved, fixed, so everybody says this is a good system, at least trying for a number of years to see if it works. Tell me how you'd see that fit in with your whole concern about prescription drugs.
Right. We have to get to universal health care. And of course, I support a public option moving forward with Medicaid, Medicare expansion, but prescription drugs has been overlooked for years, really over the past decade. Huge increases in prices for simple drugs like insulin. And that is why I have led the effort on Medicare negotiation to unleash the power of 43 million seniors, and something I'm going to be talking about tomorrow with Robert Reich. We are doing a series of meetings tomorrow, and we're doing a hearing in the Senate on antitrust. And I know that sounds like kind of an esoteric topic, but it's not. Big pharmaceuticals are literally paying off generics to keep their competitors off the market. And the ones that lose are consumers to the tune of $2.9 billion just over a few years. Online travel agencies, over 90% of the market that is owned in that range, and I'm going to get the exact number for you, owned by actually 2 companies. Rail, Class 1 rail, down to 4 companies, the exact number on the monopoly board. And this consolidation that we're seeing in our country cries out for tougher action on antitrust. And if they're not going to do it because the judges are too conservative, I have a bill that makes our laws as sophisticated as the kind of mergers that we're seeing now with monopsonies and with companies that literally are now multi-billion-dollar mergers. And the American people have stood up to this in the past. It's time to stand up to it again.
It sounds like you're for true free enterprise.
That is what this is about. You can't have capitalism and innovation if you have monopolies. And that is something Adam Smith recognized. I'm going to come out with a book on this, something I've been working on for the past year with Knopf, a book on the history of this, going back to Teddy Roosevelt, when, as you know, in the Midwest, the farmers and the workers stood up and said enough is enough. And we've been gliding toward the Gilded Age again, and we need to get back to the true capitalist spirit of entrepreneurship. And that's what this hearing is about tomorrow.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.